that's a local sprint. I did that one last year and I think I placed second overall. So I'm kind of gunning for that, hopefully number one spot. We'll see. And then I have a local Olympic the weekend after. And then one of my A races is the 70.3 in New York, which is July 10. And then I have a trail half marathon in August, and then age group nationals in Wisconsin for the sprint and Olympic distances.
Hey, it's your host, Brittany, and welcome to the Mom Sweat Sanity podcast, where we talk all things life, health, fitness, kids, relationships, you name it, nothing is off the table. A little bit of just me and a whole lot of knowledgeable guests. So throw on your Lulus to run or to mom, grab yourself a cup of coffee or a glass of wine, and join us as we unpack life's pressing topics and learn a little bit more of the who, what, whys of it all. Or at the very least, get real, share some wisdom, and grab practical tips to help in our daily lives.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in today. Today I sat down with Ashley. Ashley is also a member of the Betty Squad, and you can find her over at Instagram at try_mom_of4. She is all things inspiring and motivation, and I definitely suggest you go check out her feed. She is an athlete, triathlete, art teacher, wife, and mom to 4. Today we connected on all the things, including living a life with an autoimmune disease, in this case, hypothyroidism. So I hope that you guys enjoyed today's conversation. Thanks again for tuning in. So yeah, maybe just tell me a little bit about yourself. So you're a teacher, what grade, and athlete, all the things.
Yep. So I teach elementary art. I've been teaching for, I think, almost 17 years now, and it's kindergarten through 6th grade. So I see about 600 students in the course of the week. So it's fast and furious, but I kind of love that. I had some student teaching placements in the secondary high school classroom, and I kind of miss that, busyness of the little kids and the kids' energy. So yeah, and the kids love that I dress to match with what we're learning. So if we're, making space art, then I got, some fancy space dresses and skirts and just kind of make it fun, kind of like Miss Frizzle. But
I love that.
Yeah, really enjoy it. And if I can, be a highlight of my kids, the students' day, and kind of make their day go a little bit smoother and have a little more fun. I feel like kids don't get the opportunities to create like they used to. Growing up, I feel like, kids were getting messy and had more opportunities in the classroom to be creating art. And now the curriculum is so busy that they don't get it as much as they used to. But
so you're bringing them inspiration every day that they get to see you. So that's amazing.
Yeah. Yep. Lots of fun. So
we have come across each other via the Betty Squad. So how long have you been a part of the Betty Squad and triathlon and, endurance and all those crazy types of sports? How did you get into that?
So I've always been into sports. I grew up with 4 brothers and 3 sisters. So there was 8 of us. And so sports were always key growing up. I mean, my childhood, all I do is remember, being outside playing baseball and basketball and riding bikes with my brothers and sisters. And so in high school, I played basketball, volleyball, and ran track. Basketball was my favorite. And then I went on to college to play basketball and run track. And I continued to just do like small races after college, mostly 5Ks. I was 800 meter dash runner. So I kind of like the fast, get it done, and with as quick as possible. So I mostly did 5Ks, and I was never really endurance athlete. And then after I had my first 2 kids, I had patella tendonitis. And so I bought a road bike and got into that a little bit. And then I had my PT was actually Iron Man or Iron Woman. And she really inspired me. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And I only had one other friend that I knew of that did triathlons. And it was kind of on my bucket list that I wanted to do someday, but I didn't know how to swim. So that was kind of a problem. So 2 years ago, I made a New Year's resolution to learn to swim. And so one of the teachers that's in my building, he teaches elementary swim lessons to kids. And I took 6 swim lessons with him. And it was really, really humbling trying to learn to swim as an adult. And that was the first year that I applied for the Betty Squad. So I think it was like 2019. And I did not get in. And I probably because I never actually did a triathlon. But so I just kept with swimming, and it was really slow going. I couldn't even go underwater without plugging my nose, and I couldn't go across the pool without feeling like I was drowning, and just sticking with it. And then 2020 was supposed to be my first year where I was going to try a triathlon. And of course, COVID hit. And so there weren't any races. And so I just really focused on building that foundation for the following year. And I think having that little bit of extra time to kind of prepare myself and build strength and endurance really helped me to excel in my first year racing last year. So.
Amazing. So, and you say like you didn't know how to swim, like you did not know how to swim at all, or like, stroke to get around a lake.
Yeah. So like if I was, tubing on the back of a boat or something and I fell off, I could like paddle my way back to the boat, but I had no idea how to do the strokes or the breathing and the timing. And it was all new to me. Yeah.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Wow. And in such a short period of time from then till 2019, like that's incredible how far you've come. And now you're looking at races and competing in a swimming environment.
So last year was officially my first year racing, and I did 6 triathlons. So I was kind of making up for lost time. So I did 2 sprints, and then the rest were Olympics. And then my last one, my A race, was at the end of the season, and that was Ironman 70.3 Michigan. So that was nice, kind of building up to it, and it went really well. So
amazing, because we know that that's not a short swim. So good job.
It's like I just have to survive the swim, but it went really well. So
wow.
Yeah.
Where does your inspiration, motivation come from to do triathlon and all these other endeavors?
I always say it's my form of like stress relief. Life is so busy with work and kids sports and everything I have to do around the home and, all those little pieces where I feel like that's the one part of my day that is just for me. And, I get to decompress and unwind from all the other things going on in life. And then I think showing my kids too that like anything is possible. I was started at square one, had no clue what I was doing. And, I have won my age group in a lot of races and I've had a couple podium finishes. And so just showing them that, sticking with something and working hard, even my own kids, but even like my students too, like I have a lot of conversations with them about, sports that they're doing and things that I'm doing and just how staying consistent and putting the time and the effort in really pays off in the long run.
Absolutely. I noticed that you do a lot of things early in the morning to get your time in, and I feel you and I hear you there, as do I. But question for you, because I do know that you deal with hypothyroidism. So how do you find, I guess, first of all, that affects yourself in terms of just general life, but then also in training life? And how do you find the energy to get through your day?
So I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism probably 14 or 15 years ago before I had kids. So I was put on Synthroid and I never really felt great or like I did before I was diagnosed. So I spent a lot of time just researching maybe like holistic approaches to hypothyroidism. I never found an endocrinologist that I liked because all the research that I did kind of contradicted everything that they said. Mm-hmm. So I went to a holistic doctor for my thyroid and I was put on a couple supplements to support my thyroid and my adrenals and a couple other just nutrition supplements. Like I take turmeric every day. I've had a couple in-body scans where they scan for, your hydration and inflammation. And I put a lot of hours in training, but I have like almost no inflammation, which is kind of rare for someone with an autoimmune disease. And so I think just diet and sleep and all those, little pieces kind of together kind of helps me to keep my energy and keep moving and feeling like I'm actually me. Because I think with hypothyroidism, like you don't feel like yourself when you have those real low lows, when your numbers are off. It's like almost like an out of body experience. And I think my biggest game changer probably 8 years ago, I went gluten-free, and I feel like that was one of my biggest game changers because I feel like the gluten was a big trigger for the inflammation and the brain fog. It just seemed to help me a lot.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. I would say I definitely need to cut gluten out. I don't eat a lot of gluten, but I cheat and I consume it, here and there, and it definitely adds up. And lately, especially, I've been noticing that the brain fog is heavy. And I don't know if you find, I find it hard to explain to people what brain fog actually feels,
right.
feels like. Because unless you have it, you don't get it, right? So having more of a regimented kind of routine and diet has really helped you excel, I guess, at a higher level for yourself and for your body.
I think so. I think without staying on top of, my nutrition, that's when I do notice those lows in energy, and I drag in and I'm like, okay, what's going on? Where am I cutting the corners, or what am I not doing that I should be doing? And I think that's one of the biggest components.
Yeah, absolutely. I also like what you said about how, you were doing your own research and diving in and you found a functional based practice. It's so, you have to advocate for yourself so often. And I think that is one of the key, because our doctors are so quick to just here's your prescription, you'll feel better soon. And unfortunately, that's not the way that it works.
Right.
And maybe fortunately at the same time, finding a better, healthier solution also can help.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Just trying different avenues, and it's almost like a trial and error. Okay, let's try this and see what's working. And okay, I don't feel great. Let's try this, and just, kind of dialing things in.
Yeah. I think it's just such a positive thing to talk about. So many of us feel in the dark. It's things that we don't actually talk about that much. Autoimmune disorders, brain fog, that's not normal. It is for the first year after pregnancy, and then it should leave you. So if you're feeling these different ways, do advocate for yourself and look for those reasons as to what is the root cause of it.
Absolutely. Because I remember when I would tell my endocrinologist my symptoms, and he's like, nope, you're just a busy mom. You're just a busy mom. And I was like, no, there's something else going on here that's just off and not right. And glad I tried a holistic functional doctor. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So what is your year looking like for races in the triathlon world?
Okay. So, I just got a new bike. It got delivered last night. So I'm super excited about that. So my first year racing, we actually had our local bike shop order me a bike, but they took my measurements and they called the bike company, and they actually ordered me one that was a size too big. And so I went for a professional I had a smaller, quick bike fit when I first got it. And then when I went for the legit race bike fit, the guy's like, this bike is way too big for you. So heartbreaking, but we ended up ordering a new bike that came last night. So I'm excited to race with my new bike. But anyways, my first race will be June 4th, and that's a local sprint. I did that one last year, and I think I placed second overall. So I'm kind of gunning for that, hopefully number one spot. We'll see. And then I have a local Olympic the weekend after. And then one of my A races is the 70.3 in New York, which is July 10. And then I have a trail half marathon in August, and then age group nationals in Wisconsin for the sprint and Olympic distances. And then I have one more that's close to home, the Michigan Ironman 70.3, but I haven't signed up yet. So I'm kind of on the fence. That's the one I did last year, which was my first half Ironman distance. And I felt like it went well, and I liked the course, and it was close to my parents, my hometown. So my brothers and sisters and nieces and nephews came and cheered on the race course, which was super fun and motivating. So that one's kind of on the fence, but those are the main ones right now.
Amazing. You have a busy lineup set up. That's for sure.
I don't know. I always want to just do just a little bit better with, every race and every workout. And so my goal is just to aim a little bit higher and do each of those distances just a little bit faster.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have a coach or training program that you adhere to? I hear you hearing your A race. So do you use Tridot, or are you on a certain system?
So last year, my first year, I went with Tridot because I didn't really know how to train. And I felt like it went really, really well. I felt like I grew a lot, and I, advanced my skills, and I learned a ton. So I went with that my first year. And then this year I met a coach through a friend, and his background and my friend's background was more similar to my background. I just thought having someone that's a more personalized. I know Tridot is personal, like they break it down where it's for, each individual athlete. Thought I was going to go a different route, and we're using TrainingPeaks, but my coach I'm using right now is Derek Garcia, and I really like the workouts that he's building for me, and I feel like I've seen a lot of progress already. So I'm just excited to see the growth from last year and how it transfers this year with the training that I'm doing with him.
Yeah. Absolutely. I find that that's where I get really excited when you like actually are putting in the time and then you finish your FTP week or you have that race and you see that you're like starting to knock time off. It's so motivating that what's next? Where can I sign up? What can I do next? Yeah.
Right. Exactly. For sure.
So do you have a preference in distances? Because you kind of have a whole bunch of different ones coming up.
I've only done the one half Ironman distance, and I kind of really like the Olympic distance, and I think I almost have placed better in the sprint distance. So I don't know if that's that background of, track and field, the 800 background, speed and whatnot. But like I said, I'm kind of new to endurance training and racing. So I just feel like every year is a building block. So I don't know what, my jam will be in the future. But right now I kind of love that Olympic distance where it does take some training, but it doesn't require as much time as the 70.3 distance, but I think there's pros and cons to every distance, and you can learn a lot from every distance. So,
oh yeah, I hear you there. Definitely. I think that that's kind of what keeps it all humble all the time too, right? There's something to learn in the training as well as every single race day.
Absolutely. Yeah. There was definitely something I learned at every race, which was, kind of fun. And that was motivating right there just to keep at it and what am I going to learn today and how will I improve today? So, yep. Yeah. Great middle.
So last year you were a part of the Betty Squad. So is this your second year then?
Yep. So this is my second year and I'm just obsessed with, the girls on the team and that motivation. And when I first started, I thought I was working hard and then I saw what all these other girls were doing and I was like, oh, wow. And I fully believe in, surrounding yourself with people that are going to make you train harder and, level up. And so I think that has been a game changer too, being part of the squad, because you wake up and you check your Strava or, Instagram and you see what the other girls are doing and you're like, well, I know I better put my work in because,
I don't want serious FOMO when you don't.
There is, absolutely. So
absolutely. I thought this year back in December, I did a half Ironman down in Indian Wells with a bunch of the girls. And that was my first experience of being on the squad and having them around. And just until you're in that kind of environment, you don't realize how much that actually helps you on race day and having other people around that are there for the same cause, but so positive and just a whole other level of inspiration and motivation.
Yep. Very positive and uplifting and cheering each other on. It's a good thing.
A lot of fun. Yeah. Well, so one last question for you. So what is your main why and why you're doing it all? But in terms of why are you racing? Why do you enjoy leveling up and pushing yourself?
I don't know. As a competitor, I've always been very, very competitive and I've always been into kind of pushing your limits and seeing what your body is capable of. And so I think the piece of, how can I challenge myself to do more and to be, a better athlete and just grow as an athlete. But I just love that challenge piece of it, the mind and the body, and overcoming the obstacles. But I think that's a big why is, I just enjoy it, the competitiveness. And I think the community too. I think that's one of the biggest things that I do enjoy about the triathlon world is that everyone is so supportive and willing to, share their secrets or their insights about how to improve. And so I think it's the community piece and just, I don't know. There's just a lot to it. I don't know.
Well said. I feel like triathlon, in my experience also has been so community oriented, and it's as much as it is still a competition and a race to so many, it's not. It's just getting out there and accomplishing something and pushing their body to new limits. Right. And so I think it takes away that overall pressure and everyone is available to share and help. And it is just such a positive community.
That's what I've always said. Triathletes will be the nicest people you'll ever meet because they're very bracing. Like, I'm part of our local triathlete group. And I mean, I work out with strangers all the time because, they're like, come run with me, come swim with me. You know what I mean? It's just a great group of people to be part of.
Yeah, absolutely. And then finding a whole group of women that are similar and like-minded too, and that we can come together from all over the world and feel like we are just a whole squad that we've known each other for so long is pretty amazing feat also that Kristen has put together. So I'm so happy to be a part of it and to have met you through this also, and hopefully in person one day as well. Well, thank you, Ashley, so much for joining me. It was nice to kind of put an actual face to name and everything and get to know a little bit more about you and your journey and everything. So thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, likewise with you. Yeah, I enjoyed it. So thank you.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to share it. See you next week. You can find me on Instagram at MomSweatSanity.